Good evening and welcome to tonight's neighborhood meeting. My name is Riley Anderson and I'm a planner with the city's Development Services Department. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to present to you, the neighborhood, a development concept being considered by the owner and development team of 127 to 131 Ardagh Road prior to a formal development application being submitted to the city. This provides an opportunity for the development team to hear initial community feedback and incorporate it into their plans prior to making a full and formal development application to the city. I would also like to acknowledge that Ward 6 Councillor Nagusi, is in attendance for tonight's meeting. Please be aware that we are recording this meeting for the public record. The recording will be used for the purpose of garnering your input and to respond to inquiries and will be considered public information. Please also be aware that as a registered attendee tonight, your mailing or email address will be added to the mailing list so that you can receive further information about this application as it progresses. Should you have any questions regarding this collection, please contact the Development Services Department. I would also like to let everybody know that there are staff behind the scenes managing the technology tonight. They're here to make sure the meeting runs smoothly, to grant participants the opportunity to speak, and to assist with any questions in the chat. Please bear with us if we have any issues, and if for some reason you get disconnected, please feel free to just log back in again. The intent of tonight's meeting is to provide members of the public with an opportunity to become familiar with the development application and the planning review process, and to also ask the applicant questions and provide feedback. What to expect during tonight's meeting? A brief overview of the city's review process and timing, a presentation from the applicant's representative describing the proposal, and an opportunity to ask questions of either the applicant or myself and provide comments or identify concerns with the application. What not to expect? City staff recommendations on the applications or a detailed analysis on the proposal. This will occur later in the review process, and a debate on the merits of the proposal between city staff and the applicant. Before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to quickly highlight the next steps in the application process. This neighborhood meeting is established early in the development process to ensure local concerns are incorporated or addressed through the city's review. After tonight's meeting, we expect that the applicant will make a formal submission for this development proposal. Formal submissions undergo a full technical review and must address comments received from this neighborhood meeting, from the city's technical departments and external agencies, as well as from members of the public more broadly. In conjunction with this, a statutory public meeting will be held virtually and in person on the application at Affordability Committee. At a public meeting, applicants present their application to council, answer questions, and provide an overview of and response to any issues or concerns identified during a prior neighborhood meeting. As part of a public meeting, members of the public also have an opportunity to provide verbal or written comments. Following a public meeting, staff continue the technical review process and the applicants make any necessary revisions to the development proposal. Once the review process has concluded, a staff recommendation report is brought forward to council for their consideration. All comments received throughout the review process, including those received at tonight's neighborhood meeting and public meeting, are identified and addressed in the staff report and form part of staff's recommendation on the subject application. A staff report for this particular application would likely be brought forward to council sometime in 2025. I will now move on to the applicant's presentation. As I mentioned, the proposed project and application will be presented first, which we will follow with a question and comment period. Tonight, we are focusing on the zoning bylaw amendment proposed at 127 to 131 Ardagh Road. The applicant's planners are Cynthia Daffern and Daphne Gokin from Innovative Planning Solutions. The proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw will rezone the property from residential single detached dwelling first density to residential multiple dwelling second density to accommodate the development of 19 townhouse dwelling units along a private internal roadway. I will now hand the meeting over to Cynthia and Daphne, who will first introduce themselves and then share their presentation on the proposed development.
Hi there, my name is Cynthia Daffern from Innovative Planning Solutions. My colleague Daphne will be joining us again in a moment, and she will be spearheading the presentation tonight.
Another monitor. So my name is Daphne Goxon. I'm from Innovative Planning Solutions. We are representing the property owner for this project. As you mentioned, also with me on the call are my colleagues. So Cynthia Daffern already introduced herself, and also Greg Barker. Cindy will be taking notes during the meeting, so we'll be sure to have extensive notes and we can address any outstanding comments and questions when we make our submission. So the project, as mentioned, is at 127 and 131 Ardagh Road, which is about 2 to 3 blocks west of Essa Road. So here's just an aerial view of the subject site. Currently, there's 2 single-family residential lots, each have an existing bungalow and a sort of long backyard. So this shows just a map of the surrounding uses. You can see the majority of the area surrounding the property is residential. There's medium and low density residential properties. The green check marks on this map show properties that are already zoned for the residential multiple dwelling, or RM, which is the zoning that we're requesting for our project. So you can see that there are a number of properties already in the area with the zoning. There's also in the area a mix of uses, including commercial plazas, places of worship, and even industrial uses in the immediate vicinity. There are also bus routes nearby, including one that runs along Ardagh right in front of the properties. And there are dedicated bike lanes on Ardagh, which connect to a citywide biking network. And Ardagh itself is an arterial road. So this just gets into the land use designation and zoning. So the current land use designation is neighborhood area, and we're not proposing any change to that. And the zoning, it's currently zoned for residential single detached dwelling first density, or R1. And surrounding properties, you can see there's a few different colors. Immediately behind there's R2, and then you can see there's some other colors in the immediate vicinity as well. So our proposed development concept is for 19 townhouse units, which will be in 3 blocks. The townhouses will be accessed via a private road off of Ardagh. So the site plan has private driveways for each of the unit. There's also visitor parking, including some barrier-free parking spaces and an outdoor amenity area. Slide has a bit more detail on the same plan. So the townhouses will be 3 stories high. As mentioned, there'll be a driveway, which will have a driveway parking space. In addition, there's 5 visitor parking spaces. And there is, the site plan does show, it's kind of hard to see maybe, there's a red line that shows there's a 0.5 meter dedication for road widening on Ardagh, so it'll be stepped back a little bit from where the existing lot lines are. And there is a landscape buffer on all sides, as you can see on the site plan. So what we're requesting is a zoning bylaw amendment to change the zoning from the R1 to the RM2 with special provisions. And again, as previously noted, there are existing RM zone properties in the immediate vicinity along Ardagh and even on some of the smaller streets. So just briefly want to talk about some of the site-specific provisions that we're requesting currently, with this conceptual site plan right now. Just want to reiterate that the current zoning bylaw is from 2009. The city is updating the zoning bylaw based on some more modern policy documents that have been passed by both the province and the city. We're proposing a development that is meant to reflect the direction that the city is moving. We're allowing for a little bit more density. It's I think just a gentle increase in the density that will allow for more housing to be provided in this area that's rich with amenities already, and it's just an appropriate place to have a few more units. The request we have is for an increase in the density. It's from 40 to 45 units, not a large increase. There's also a change in the setbacks, front yard and rear yard setbacks of 5 meters. And just want to note that currently very few of the houses have a 7-meter setback from Ardagh. In fact, the existing home at 131 Ardagh, which is one of the properties on this project, has about a 5-meter setback right now. So that's actually in keeping with what is already occurring in the neighborhood. And then just we have a request for reduced parking, but what's interesting is the zoning doesn't allow for tandem parking. So the plans will have a parking space both on a driveway and in the garage, but because they'll be in tandem, we can't count those stalls. So technically it's 1 stall per unit, but in reality, there'll be 2 stalls per unit available to residents, which is above the 1.5 spaces per unit that's required. So the parking variance is a little bit, it's just because of something in the code and not that we're actually providing less than the code required parking. So we are currently preparing for the formal submission, as Riley mentioned. This slide has a list of the technical studies that we are currently preparing in support of that formal submission. We don't have all the studies that are currently underway, but They will provide more information about some of the concerns that I'm sure will come up today, things like traffic and parking impacts, having some details on the landscape that will be proposed for the site, just about site servicing and the feasibility of the project. So those studies are underway, and all that information will be addressed in the formal submission. And I just want to note as well, the site plan that was shown is conceptual and will evolve based on the results of these studies and also concerns and comments that we hear tonight. So these properties are within the city's built-up area. As was mentioned, the neighborhood has existing amenities. It's within walking distance to a lot of amenities for residents. It also has bike lanes and bus routes in the area. So it is a good location for redevelopment and some intensification. I think that this project it'll provide a net increase of 17 dwelling units, which will help contribute to the city's demand for more housing in a way that's appropriate and reflects other projects that have been approved in the neighborhood. And the townhouse units will also provide for a greater mix of housing types in the area for those that are looking for a more dense development rather than the existing single-family homes. So just in conclusion, we are preparing an application for a zoning bylaw amendment. We feel that the project conforms with the planning policy in Ontario and in Barrie, both of which encourage appropriate intensification in order to provide more homes within existing built-up areas. And more information and justification will be provided with our formal submission. Just this is the information that we wanted to present tonight. And then just in conclusion, thank you so much for your time tonight, for coming out. Thank you to the city for arranging this meeting. We will be taking extensive notes tonight, and anything that we can't answer tonight, we will address in our formal submission. So thank you.